The desert sun blazed high over the small human settlement on the planet Kairos. The wind carved sharp lines into the orange sand, and dust storms were a daily trial for those who called this barren world home. Life here was not easy. Water was scarce. Crops struggled to grow, and predators roamed the open plains beyond the settlement's walls. Still, humans had survived. They had built homes from the hardy metal of crashed ships and old machinery, using every scrap wisely. The settlement was ruled by Chief Marek, a man of broad shoulders and steady eyes. He was respected not just for his strength, but for his wisdom. Every decision he made was for the good of the people. Though the colony was small, the humans had survived years of hardship without surrendering to the planet's dangers. On this day, a strange sight appeared over the horizon. A plume of smoke rose into the sky, carried by the dry, swirling wind. It came from the desert far beyond the edge of the settlement, where no human usually dared to go. Children stopped playing, farmers paused at their work, and even the desert-hardened scouts looked up with curiosity and caution. Chief Marek walked toward the rising smoke, his long coat flapping in the wind. Behind him, a small group of colonists followed. Hunters, farmers, and apprentices who had grown under his guidance. The sand was hot beneath their boots, and the sun beat down mercilessly, but the smoke demanded attention. Whatever had caused it, it was not ordinary. As they approached, the cause of the smoke became clear. A small spacecraft had crash-landed, half buried in the sand. Its hull was scorched and cracked, and a faint hissing sound came from its engines. The ship was unlike any the humans had seen before. Its design was sleek, almost organic, and a faint glow pulsed along its surface. Then, the hatch opened. A figure stepped out, dust clinging to their clothes, eyes hidden beneath a reflective visor. The stranger moved with careful, deliberate steps, scanning the desert around them. They carried a small pack and a strange tool that glimmered in the sunlight. The colonists froze. They had heard stories of travelers from the stars, humans who had left Earth centuries ago to explore distant worlds. Few had ever returned. But here was one, standing before them in the unforgiving heat, seemingly unafraid. Chief Marek raised a hand. "Who are you?" he called, his voice steady but commanding. "State your purpose." The stranger paused, then removed the visor. A young woman's face emerged, her skin sun-kissed and eyes sharp with intelligence. "I am Solara," she said simply. "I mean no harm. I come from the United Earth Expedition. My ship was damaged in a storm, and I need help." Murmurs ran through the gathered crowd. The name of the Earth Expedition was known, though few believed any of them still traveled the stars. Solara's calm voice carried over the wind. She did not seem scared, and that alone earned her a measure of respect. Chief Marek studied her carefully. "We do not welcome strangers lightly," he said. "We have survived on this planet by trusting only those we know. Why should we help you?" Solara reached into her pack and pulled out a small device. She held it up, letting the sunlight catch its surface. It was a water analyzer, something the colonists could only dream of. "I can help your settlement," she said. "I can fix your water systems, your generators, your tools. I can teach you ways to survive this desert better than you have before." A young apprentice, Joran, stepped forward, his eyes wide. "Can she really do that?" he whispered to a friend. Solara did not answer him directly. Instead, she knelt beside a nearby water pump, examining its broken parts with skillful hands. Sparks flew as she worked, metal twisting and bending under her careful touch. Within moments, water began to trickle from the pump, clearer than it had been in years. The colonists gasped. Chief Marek's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in careful consideration. He had seen skilled mechanics before, but this level of precision and so quickly was unusual. "You can do many things," Merrick said slowly. "But do you understand our ways? Do you understand life here? This planet does not forgive mistakes." Solara looked him in the eye. "I have survived storms far worse than this. I have studied desert worlds. I can adapt. I want to help. That is all." A silence fell over the group. The wind blew harder, carrying sand across the desert plain. Yet no one moved. For the first time in a long while, the humans felt hope, not just for survival, but for something more. Chief Merrick finally nodded. "You may stay, but you will follow our rules. You will earn your place among us. Nothing is given freely on this planet." Solara nodded in agreement. "I understand." Over the next few days, Solara proved herself invaluable. She repaired broken machinery, organized water collection, and even helped design small traps to protect the settlement from desert predators. The colonists watched her with a mixture of awe and cautious curiosity. Some began to whisper that perhaps she was sent for a reason greater than mere survival. But not all were convinced. Taryn, one of the older hunters, muttered to a friend, "Humans who arrive from the stars are trouble. Always." Solara overheard him but said nothing. She knew that trust was earned, not demanded. One evening, as the sun dipped below the jagged horizon, Chief Merrick and Solara stood atop a ridge, looking out over the settlement. Fires burned in small clusters, the humans tending to their evening chores. The wind carried the scent of hot sand and metal. "You have skill," Merrick said quietly. "I will not deny that. But I feel something about you. Something familiar." Solara smiled faintly. "Perhaps we are closer than you think. Humanity leaves traces in every world it touches. Some of those traces are hard to forget." Merrick's eyes softened, but he did not ask more. He simply nodded. For now, that was enough. As night fell, the desert came alive with sounds of unseen creatures. Stars stretched across the sky, brighter and closer than they had ever been on Earth. Solara looked up at them, remembering her journey across the cosmos. The desert was harsh, but it was beautiful. And she had found a new purpose, to help this small colony not just survive, but thrive. In the darkness, a faint shadow moved beyond the walls of the settlement. A scout reported back to Chief Merrick that something was approaching, something large and unfamiliar. The chief's hand rested on the hilt of his blade, and Solara's fingers brushed against her own tools, ready to act. Whatever was coming, it would test their limits. But for the first time in many seasons, the humans of Kiros felt prepared. Not just by strength, but by unity. And somewhere in the distance, the wind whispered a warning, carrying the hint of a challenge that would change everything for the colony. The desert morning arrived with a harsh light that burned off the last remnants of night. The settlement on Kiros had grown restless. Scouts had returned with troubling news. A group of tall, armored aliens was approaching from the northern dunes. They moved swiftly, their weapons glinting under the sun, and their presence sent a ripple of tension through the human colony. Chief Merrick called a meeting in the central courtyard. Colonists gathered, standing in the circle of sandy ground that marked the heart of their community. Solara stood beside him, her posture calm, hands folded neatly over her tool belt. "They are the Torgans," Chief Merrick announced, his deep voice carrying across the crowd. "They have raided smaller settlements before. They think we are weak. We will show them they are wrong." A murmur ran through the humans. The Torgans were a fearsome alien tribe known for brute strength and cunning raids. Yet the colonists had survived for years because they relied on intelligence, skill, and unity, not just sheer force. Solara stepped forward. "We should not wait for them to reach us," she said. "We can prepare. I can set traps, reinforce the walls, and organize a strategy that will give us the advantage." Chief Merrick nodded slowly. We will fight smart, not just hard. Every able-bodied colonist will have a role. Today we see if humanity can defend itself, not just survive. By mid-morning, the settlement was alive with activity. Farmers became scouts, scouts became sentries, and hunters turned into engineers, guided by Solara's instructions. Walls were reinforced with metal scraps, pits were dug near the perimeter, and sand-camouflaged barriers concealed hidden traps. In the distance, the Torgans' war cry echoed across the dunes. Their massive figures appeared like shadows against the sun, towering over the sand. Chief Marek drew his blade, its edge glinting sharply, while Solara held a compact energy tool, ready to disable anything mechanical. When the Torgans arrived at the edge of the settlement, they stopped. Their chief, a broad alien with a jagged helmet, raised a weapon, a long, ornate spear that symbolized authority among their kind. The humans could feel the tension in the air, like the calm before a storm. One of the Torgans laughed, a harsh sound that carried across the sands. "Look what the wind dragged in," he jeered. "A pitiful group of humans. Step aside, or we take what we want." Chief Marek stepped forward. "We will not yield. Leave now, or face the consequences of your actions." The Torgans ignored him. They raised their weapons in preparation to strike, but Solara moved swiftly, her mind calculating the angles and weaknesses of their formation. She signaled to the colonists, and the humans launched their first move. Traps hidden beneath the sand ensnared several Torgans, throwing them off balance. Pulleys and levers set by the colonists sent nets crashing down on others. The humans were organized and strategic, striking only when necessary, never recklessly. The Torgans were strong, but they were unprepared for this level of coordination. During the chaos, the Torgan chief advanced toward the humans, spear raised high. Chief Marek stepped in front, ready to defend his people. But before he could act, Solara leapt forward, moving faster than the eye could follow. She ducked under the spear, grabbed it near the base, and twisted it. The metal groaned, then snapped with a sharp crack. The Torgan chief stumbled, stunned. Solara did not strike him further. Instead, she dropped the broken spear at his feet. "This is a warning," she said calmly. "We do not want war, but we will defend ourselves. Respect that, or face defeat." The Torgan chief's laugh faltered. He looked at the humans around him, then at the stranger who had bested him. Something in his eyes shifted from arrogance to caution. The surrounding Torgans hesitated, unsure whether to continue the attack. Chief Marek stepped forward. "We are not weak," he said firmly. "We will protect our people. You may take what you will from the desert, but our home is not yours." The Torgans withdrew slightly, reassessing. Their chief gestured to retreat. The humans had won a victory without spilling unnecessary blood, proving that intelligence and courage were more powerful than brute force. The colonists erupted in cheers. Children ran out from hiding, and even the older hunters exchanged proud glances. Solara stood quietly, watching the retreating aliens. She knew that this was only the beginning. The Torgans would return, and the humans needed to be ready. That evening, the settlement gathered around the central fire. The broken spear lay at the foot of Chief Marek, a symbol of warning and resilience. Solara explained to the colonists how small innovations and clever tactics could turn the tide of battle in their favor. Joran, the young apprentice who had marveled at Solara before, raised his hand. "Do you think they will come back?" he asked. Solara smiled softly. "Yes, but each time they return, we will be stronger. Every challenge makes us better. That is how humans survive." Chief Marek placed a hand on her shoulder. "You have taught us much today. Not just skill, but confidence. Humanity's strength is not just in the body, it is in the mind and the heart." As night fell, the desert winds carried stories of the day's events. The humans felt a sense of pride they had never known before. They had faced a threat far greater than themselves and emerged victorious, guided by intelligence, bravery, and unity. Yet, in the distance beyond the dunes, a shadow moved silently. The Torgan scouts observed the settlement, reporting every detail. The message was clear. They had underestimated these humans. Next time, they would come better prepared. The colonists did not sleep easily. They trained through the night, reinforcing walls, refining traps, and practicing maneuvers. Solara worked with the hunters, teaching them strategies to anticipate alien movements. Each day, the humans became more than survivors. They became defenders. One morning, Chief Marek called a council meeting. "We have faced a warning," he said, pointing to the broken spear. "But warnings are lessons, and lessons make us stronger. We must prepare for the future, not fear it." Solara added, "The Torgans are not invincible. They rely on strength alone. We rely on skill, teamwork, and ingenuity. That will give us an edge they cannot match." The humans nodded in agreement. The settlement buzzed with energy as every person understood their role. Farmers, engineers, hunters, and children all contributed to the collective effort. Each human acted not just for themselves, but for the community. Days turned into weeks. Solara continued to teach the colonists, building devices to monitor the desert and developing defensive mechanisms to protect against future raids. She also helped improve water distribution and strengthen the settlement's structures. Slowly, the humans began to feel that this harsh desert could be tamed, not easily, but with effort and cooperation. The broken spear became a symbol among the humans. Chief Marek placed it above the central fire, a constant reminder of the day they stood against a stronger force and prevailed. It represented caution, strategy, and the promise of human resilience. One evening, as the twin moons of Kiros rose over the dunes, Solara walked to the edge of the settlement. She looked out at the horizon, sensing movement. Shadows shifted in the distance, Torgan scouts, perhaps, observing from afar. She knew the next encounter would be more dangerous, but she also knew the humans were ready. When she returned, she found Chief Marek waiting. "You have changed this settlement," he said quietly. "The humans here will no longer fear what comes from the desert. We will fight, we will survive, and we will thrive." Solara nodded. "The Torgans may return, but we are ready, and the best part? This is just the beginning. Humanity can endure more than anyone believes. And one day, we will reach even further, beyond this planet, into the stars." The chief smiled, a rare expression of pride and hope. "Then let us make sure the humans of Kiros are not just survivors, but defenders of our future." As the night settled, the desert seemed quieter, almost respectful of the humans' newfound confidence. The broken spear gleamed faintly in the firelight, a warning to enemies, a symbol for friends, and a promise for the future. And so the colony prepared, knowing the Torgans would come again. But now the humans were united, clever and fearless. They had learned that strength alone was not enough. Intelligence, courage, and cooperation were the real power. Humanity, it seemed, had a way of thriving even in the most unforgiving of worlds. The desert sun rose over Kiros, casting long shadows across the settlement. The humans had grown stronger since the encounter with the Torgans. Walls were reinforced, traps were sharpened, and every person knew their role. But despite their preparation, a sense of unease lingered in the air. Scouts had returned with troubling news. A larger alien force was moving toward them, far bigger than the small raiding group they had faced before. Chief Marek called the colonists together in the central courtyard. The air was tense, but there was determination in every face. Solara stood beside him, her eyes scanning the horizon where the dust of the approaching army was already visible. "This is not a small raid," Marek said, his voice firm. "The Torgans have called for reinforcements. They believe we are weak, They will test us, but we will not fall. A murmur ran through the crowd. The humans had learned to face fear with courage, but the thought of a full-scale attack brought anxiety. Solara stepped forward. We have the advantage if we use it wisely. They rely on strength and numbers. We rely on intelligence, coordination, and ingenuity. Every person here has a part to play. This is not just a fight, it is a demonstration of what humanity can achieve when we work together. The colonists nodded, inspired by her words. Over the next few hours, the settlement transformed into a fortress of human ingenuity. Hunters laid traps that would slow the alien advance. Engineers reinforced the walls with metal scraps and energy shields salvaged from old machinery. Farmers and apprentices moved heavy rocks and sandbags to create barriers that could guide the attackers into strategic areas. Solara worked with Chief Merrick to design a defense plan that relied on observation and surprise. Small squads would monitor the enemy movements, relaying information to coordinate traps, ambushes, and counterattacks. Every human had a task, and every task was essential. When the alien force finally appeared over the dunes, the humans were ready. The army was vast, with hundreds of Torgans moving in formation, their weapons gleaming in the sunlight. Their leaders rode in towering vehicles that rumbled across the sand, signaling power and intimidation. The humans did not panic. They had learned the first lesson of survival on Kiros. Fear could not guide them. Instead, they moved as one, setting traps and preparing ambush points. The first clash came at the edge of the settlement. Torgan scouts charged forward, but hidden pits and nets stopped them in their tracks. Human archers and hunters struck from behind walls and barriers, their aim precise. The Torgans, who had relied on brute force in the past, found themselves slowed, confused, and frustrated. Chief Merrick led a squad to flank the attackers, showing the colonists that leadership was not about fear, but guidance and example. Solara worked tirelessly, adjusting traps and using her tools to disable alien vehicles and weapons without unnecessary violence. The humans learned to use every resource available, from the smallest scrap of metal to the shifting sands themselves. Amid the chaos, Solara noticed a group of Torgan warriors attempting to bypass the traps. She called out to a team of hunters, who quickly intercepted them. In a clever maneuver, they guided the aliens into a narrow corridor between two walls, where a combination of falling rocks and energy nets immobilized them. The humans cheered quietly, knowing victory was not in violence alone, but in strategy and teamwork. As the day wore on, the Torgans realized that brute strength alone would not win this battle. Their leaders regrouped, forming a larger assault, hoping to overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers. But Solara and Chief Merrick had anticipated this. "Divide and distract," Solara said, pointing to the central courtyard. "We lure them into traps, then strike when they are weakest. Remember, humans survive not by being stronger, but by being smarter." The humans executed the plan flawlessly. Some colonists created decoys, drawing portions of the Torgan army into false positions. Others waited silently behind barriers, ready to strike. The Torgans, frustrated by these unexpected tactics, struggled to adapt. In the midst of battle, Chief Merrick noticed a group of younger colonists faltering under pressure. He ran to them, guiding them back into position. "Courage is not the absence of fear," he shouted, "but the choice to act despite it." Inspired by his words, the young colonists regained confidence and joined the fight with renewed determination. Solara moved through the battlefield, her mind calculating each movement. She disabled alien machinery, guided human squads to the most critical points, and ensured that every action was coordinated. Slowly, the tide of battle turned. By the time the twin moons of Kiros began to rise, the Torgans had suffered heavy losses. Their vehicles were immobilized, their soldiers trapped or scattered, and their morale shattered. The humans had defended their settlement without succumbing to panic or recklessness. At the center of the battlefield, Solara confronted a Torgan commander who had broken through one of the human lines. Using agility and precision, she disarmed the alien, holding the weapon away from harm. Instead of striking, she spoke calmly. "This is not a war of hatred," she said. "Leave now, or you will lose more. Respect the humans, and you will survive." The commander hesitated, then nodded. He retreated with the remaining Torgans, leaving the humans in control. Exhausted but victorious, the colonists gathered around the central fire. The broken spear from the first encounter was displayed prominently, a symbol of warning and resilience. Solara addressed the crowd. "Today you proved that humanity is capable of more than survival. We are clever, brave, and united. This victory is not just against the Torgans. It is a victory for every human who has ever faced impossible odds." Chief Marek placed a hand on her shoulder. "You have guided us well. Humans here will not fear the desert, nor any who come to test us. Today, we have shown the strength of intelligence and courage." The settlement celebrated, but there was no arrogance, no boasting. They had won, but they knew the desert and its dangers were far from tamed. Lessons had been learned, strategies refined, and bonds strengthened. In the following days, the humans worked tirelessly to repair damage from the skirmish and reinforce their defenses. Solara continued to teach, helping colonists develop better tools, improve water systems, and understand the tactics of potential enemies. The colony became more than a place to survive. It became a beacon of human ingenuity and resilience. Joran, the young apprentice, approached Solara one evening. "Do you think the Torgans will come back?" he asked, eyes wide. Solara smiled faintly. "Yes, they will test us again, but each time we will be ready. Every challenge makes us stronger, and one day humanity will reach far beyond this planet, to worlds that no one else has seen." Chief Marek joined them, looking at the horizon. "Let them come," he said quietly. "We are not just survivors. We are defenders, and we will endure no matter what the desert or the stars throw at us." The twin moons of Kiros rose higher, casting silver light across the settlement. The desert seemed quieter now, almost respectful of the humans' determination. Traps were hidden, walls were reinforced, and every colonist understood their role. For the first time, they truly felt that they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. And in the quiet moments, when the wind shifted across the sands, Solara looked to the stars. She knew humanity's journey was only beginning. Kairos was just the first test, but it would not be the last. Humanity had survived impossible odds before, and here on this remote desert planet, it would rise again, smarter, stronger, and unbreakable. The twin moons of Kiros had barely set when scouts reported movement far beyond the dunes. This was no small group like before. This was an entire Torgan battalion, far larger and more organized than anything the humans had faced. Dust rose in great clouds as hundreds of alien soldiers and their heavy vehicles advanced across the desert. The colonists gathered quickly. Chief Marek, standing tall and resolute, addressed his people. "This is the greatest test we have faced. The Torgans think they can overwhelm us with numbers, but we have strength they cannot measure, our intelligence, our courage, and our unity. Today we defend our home, and we show them the power of humanity." Solara stood beside him, her calm demeanor steadying those around her. "Remember what we learned," she said. "We fight smart. Every person here has a role. Trust in each other. Trust in yourselves. Today, we will prove that humans are capable of more than anyone believes." The settlement had been reinforced over weeks. Walls were fortified with metal plates and energy shields. Traps were hidden across the perimeter, camouflaged in sand. Observation towers had been constructed for scouts to relay enemy positions in real time. Every detail had been prepared, every role assigned. Humans were no longer merely survivors. They were defenders of their home. As the Torgans approached, they let out a deafening war cry. Their massive vehicles rumbled over the dunes, shaking the ground beneath the humans' feet. The battalion seemed unstoppable, a living wave of brute force. But the humans did not flinch. They had strategy, skill, and courage on their side. The first clash occurred at the outer perimeter. Scouts had lured the Torgan advance into traps, pits, and net barriers. Vehicles became entangled and immobilized, while Torgan soldiers were funneled into narrow corridors. From behind walls, human archers, hunters, and engineers struck with precision. Explosions of sand and sparks filled the air as humans used every advantage their environment could provide. Chief Merrick led a squad to defend a critical choke point. His presence inspired the colonists to act with confidence. He moved with purpose, coordinating movements, giving instructions, and striking only when necessary. He had taught these humans well. They were no longer afraid to fight, but fought with intelligence. Solara coordinated with her teams, moving between observation points and defensive positions. She used advanced sensors to detect Torgan weaknesses and relayed information to human squads. Energy nets, mechanical traps, and improvised weapons worked together like a symphony, channeling the alien force into carefully controlled zones. Despite their numbers, the Torgans struggled to adapt. Their brute strength was no match for human planning. Every assault was met with resistance, every advance carefully countered. The humans fought as one organism, each person playing their role with precision and purpose. In the heat of battle, a group of Torgan command vehicles attempted to break through the central wall. Solara and Chief Merrick quickly devised a countermeasure. Using a combination of hidden explosives, collapsing metal barricades, and a coordinated human charge, they trapped the command units. The Torgan leaders were forced to retreat, their morale beginning to crumble. Even the youngest colonists played a crucial role. Joran and other apprentices operated signal devices to guide teams, while older children relayed messages across the battlefield. Every individual mattered, proving that human ingenuity was not limited by age or size. Hours passed. The battle raged across the settlement, sand flying in all directions, sparks lighting the desert like a storm of fire. Yet the humans held their ground. Each victory, each trapped alien, each successful defense built confidence. They realized something profound. Humanity's strength was more than physical. It was in their ability to think, adapt, and act together. By mid-afternoon, the Torgans had suffered heavy losses. Their vehicles were damaged, their soldiers scattered and exhausted. The humans remained strong, their morale unshaken. Chief Merrick saw an opportunity. "Now," he called, "we show them the final lesson." Solara nodded. Humans from every part of the settlement emerged in a coordinated push. Hidden barriers were removed strategically, drawing Torgans into ambush points. Hunters and archers struck from multiple directions, while engineers used improvised weapons to disable remaining alien machinery. The tide of the battle turned decisively in favor of the humans. The Torgan leaders, realizing defeat was inevitable, signaled a retreat. Their soldiers fell back in disorder, abandoning vehicles and weapons in their haste. The humans held the battlefield. For the first time, the desert was quiet, except for the wind and the low hum of repaired machinery. The colonists gathered around the central fire. The broken spear, once a warning, now symbolized human victory, resilience, and unity. Chief Merrick addressed his people with pride shining in his eyes. "Today, we did not just survive," he said. "We defended our home. We showed that humans are clever, brave, and united. Let this victory remind us that no force can defeat us when we stand together." Solara stepped forward. "The Torgans may return, or others may try to challenge us. But we have learned something vital. Intelligence, courage, and cooperation will always give us an edge. Humanity endures because we adapt, because we innovate, and because we never give up. The colonists cheered. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. They were stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. In the following days, the settlement repaired battle damage and strengthened defenses even further. Solara taught advanced strategies and engineering techniques, preparing the humans for future challenges. Children practiced drills alongside adults, learning that every individual contributes to the survival of the whole. Chief Merrick walked through the settlement one evening, observing the people who had grown under his guidance. He paused at the central fire, looking at the broken spear. It had once been a warning from a single stranger. Now it symbolized the power of humanity. Solara joined him quietly. "You have done well," she said. "The humans here have proven that we can face anything. This settlement is more than a home. It is a testament to what humans can achieve." Marek nodded. "This is only the beginning. One day, humans will reach beyond this desert, beyond this planet, and into the stars. And when they do, they will carry the lessons we have learned here. Courage, intelligence, and unity are stronger than any weapon." Solara smiled faintly, looking toward the horizon where the desert met the sky. "And humanity will thrive wherever it goes. We survive, we adapt, we rise. That is who we are." The twin moons rose high again, casting silver light across the settlement. The wind whispered softly, carrying away the dust of battle and leaving a sense of peace. For the first time in many years, the humans of Kiros felt that their home was truly secure. Even as scouts reported distant shadows on the dunes, potentially new threats, the humans no longer feared them. They had faced overwhelming odds and had prevailed. They knew that whatever came next, they were ready. The story of their victory spread across the settlement and beyond. Stories of human ingenuity, bravery, and resilience inspired future generations. Children learned from the elders, warriors trained in intelligence as much as in combat, and engineers continued to innovate. The humans of Kiros were no longer simply surviving, they were thriving in a world that had once seemed impossible. The broken spear remained above the central fire, a constant reminder of the day humans had faced a seemingly invincible force and emerged victorious. It symbolized warning to enemies, hope to allies, and the enduring spirit of humanity. And far above Kiros, in the vast expanse of stars, Solara looked up and imagined the future. She knew humanity's journey had only just begun. The desert had been their first test, but many worlds awaited. Each new challenge would be met with intelligence, courage, and unity. Humanity would endure. Humanity would rise. And humanity would conquer, not through force alone, but through the indomitable spirit that made them human. The wind shifted once more, carrying the scent of sand and possibility. The colony stood together, strong and unbroken. Kiros had witnessed the rise of human resilience, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter in approval.